What? How are you all doing? Retro games online. How much of a thing is that for people? It's something that I remember toying with years and years and years ago. And I mean absolutely eons ago. Net play in, I say classic emulators, I mean they're not really classic emulators anymore, but it was always a bit janky. And in fairness, actually, given my experiences today, it's still pretty janky. There are some setups where it's just literally press a button and go, like Fightcade, for example. That's a rollback netcode based fighting game emulator set up as Fightcade and Fightcade 2, if anyone would like to look into that. So you can play stuff like Street Fighter and a bunch of SNK games, and it's really neat. And it's got like, you know, a chatty style feature, and just you log into a game's chat room, you select someone you want to fight, and then you go and load to the game, and you play against that person until whoever gets bored and quits, kind of thing. But in near enough every other setup I've tried has been a bit wibbly. And I just use Monster Hunter running on my phone. I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan in near enough every case other than Monster Hunter World. And that's not to say that Monster Hunter World is a bad game, it's just not Monster Hunter-y to me. And a groove I started thinking about last night was that I wanted to play Monster Hunter 1, Monster Hunter Portable, with my mate Divine. The new Monster Hunter's coming out, Monster Hunter Rise, is coming out on Nintendo Switch. It's not out yet, neither of us own it. Divine doesn't own the other Monster Hunter game on Nintendo Switch. We generally play Monster Hunter games together. We've been playing Monster Hunter games together since Try on the Nintendo Wii. I was like, wouldn't it be neat to play Monster Hunter 1, just Monster Hunter Portable, which is the PSP version of Monster Hunter 1. Monster Hunter 1 originally came out in like 2003, 4, 5 on PlayStation 2. And that's where I first played Monster Hunter. But most people I know played through PSP. I had it on PSP too because I liked Monster Hunter. It's weird actually because the PSP you had to use the triangle and circle button to do your attacks. And on the PS2 version, you actually use the right analog stick to do attacks. Anyway, really wanted to play Monster Hunter with Divine. I've never played Monster Hunter 1 or 2 online properly. I've like hopped into lobbies on like the PlayStation 2. Never really gotten into a proper game. PSP, pretty much the same kind of groove, would get into an ad hoc lobby, and that's pretty much as far as I'd go. Pretty much every Monster Hunter experience I had up until Try was solo. So it was pretty exciting to potentially, maybe, possibly, play with other humans. So I remember Divine telling me a story of how him and his old Monster Hunter group managed to get together and play using an emulator and playing ad hoc. So the way that an ad hoc network generally works is, well, it's local. It's a local network. Imagine a Wi-Fi, it's a LAN. One's the host, other consoles go, there's a dude, and they connect and it's all groovy. And the PSP had a way to connect to a PlayStation 3, and then the PlayStation 3 would push that connection out to the internet, and it was called an ad hoc party. The software they used was called Ad Hoc Party. The thing is, again, I didn't know anyone that I could play Monster Hunter Portable with online. Most of my friends didn't have Monster Hunter. If they had PSPs, we'd maybe be able to play like once or twice in university, and then outside of that, it was kind of a stitch up. You know, some of my mates might have had PSPs. They didn't have PlayStation 3, so we couldn't play online through Ad Hoc Party. We'd have had to have been in the same room. Kind of sucky. I was like, Ad Hoc Party the emulator is called PPSSPP. Load it up on my PC. I've dumped my UMD, the PSP disc, right? And I've loaded up the ISO, and I'm like, yes, in the game we go. I would love to show you some proper, actual footage of Monster Hunter. But shamefully, the whole setup of multiplayer has been a bit of a fail for me. It just won't work. I was super psyched to get Divine in the main lobby, but once we got into the game, it dropped. There was one situation where we found it worked, and that was if I loaded the game up on my phone. I've tried on my TV, using an Android TV box. I've tried using my PC. No joy. No joy. So that's something I've got to figure out. It works, just not on the two things I really want to use it on. But I'm so psyched to see this stuff work. The PC versions, PPSSPP, use a site called My Neighbor Sushi Cat. So if you go to My Neighbor Sushi Cat, just look it up. It will just show you a list of people connecting to it. Like whatever game, it will just come up with, this person has connected to this site using this game. And the idea basically is it does what an ad hoc network does. Here's someone looking to play a game. Do you want to play a game? Yeah. And then it shares the IPs out, you connect, and magic happens. It's neat. This homebrewy, online, net play-y culture to keep old games a-going is cool. I really wish I could just get Monster Hunter working, though. Oh, don't worry about that. It's a date that I needed to remember. This is really sketchy because it was literally up until about 10 minutes ago that I was frantically going, why won't you work? I'm probably missing something really simple here. UPnP is probably just being a dick and not triggering. UPnP is a way to punch a hole in my firewall when an application requests it. And I'm just assuming it's not working. But I've just had a message from Divine. Divine says that he's running a different version of the emulator to me, which could be part of the problem. But then it doesn't explain why he managed to connect to me on my phone. How many of you have played classic games that are no longer supported through kind of a janky, hacked up means? Whether it be through a private server with a fan-made patch, or I don't know, like PPSSPP, the PSP emulator, where they have stuff like My Neighbor Sushi Cat to kind of trick ad hoc play. Or if you've ever used, first time I really tried something really, really janky like this, not including like standard net play for Super Nintendo games and things like that, but like I remember a big one back in the day was X-Link Kai, to be able to run games that had LAN modes on the original Xbox, so like original Halo. You would go into a LAN game, you'd plug your Xbox into your PC or into your router, and then you would tunnel through X-Link Kai's network, like through their little chatty interfacey thing. It looked a bit like MSN Messenger, if anyone knows what that is, because man, I feel old saying that. You would say, I want to play me some Halo, and you go to the Halo group, you'd find someone trying to play, you'd connect, and then the app would tunnel through the LAN connection, would go, oh look, hey, there's another Xbox, and it would go through to where X-Link Kai said the other person was, and then you'd have kind of like this faux LAN game over the internet, kind of like My Neighbor Sushi Cat, how that kind of works. So cool, these little janky, wobbly hack things we do to keep games going or to get games going. It's just, I mean, I think about it, I've played private servers of World of Warcraft. I've played private servers of Phantasy Star Online. Private servers I played Ragnarok Online. I've ran a few of those. The cool little things that people do to keep communities going when games stop being supported. Big bummer for me was when Monster Hunter Tri, when the servers went down for that. That kind of sucked, because the only reason they really did it was because Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate came out on Wii U and 3DS. It's basically the same game. But they didn't want people on the Wii anymore. They wanted you to move over to Monster Hunter onto Wii U. I don't think they ever put up anything to kind of sort that stuff out. Yeah, what do you guys do? Don't you guys play Monster Hunter, classic Monster Hunter games online? Do any of you guys tunnel other games to play stuff? I wish every game had its own server code available, made available. I don't like it when companies shut down servers. It really does my nut in. Really does my nut in. Because there are so many fantastic games that just disappear. Crime Hounds. That was a good one. That just disappeared. Sorry, this has gone completely nowhere. I just wanted to say how psyched I am to be able to have the option to play retro games online with other humans from a great distance. People who I would have never normally been able to play against or play with. It's possible now. Or it's been possible for quite some time, but we continue to refine how this stuff works, and I think that's really neat. And I thank the folks, I have to say thank you to the folks who are working on this stuff in their, well, really in their spare time, to keep these games going, to make it possible to play these games, like the guys who developed Slippy recently. Slippy being an implementation of rollback netcode for Smash Brothers Melee, using the Dolphin emulator. So that's the GameCube version of Smash Brothers. With all of the Smash tournaments being closed down because of a global pandemic, you ain't going to be playing no Smash Melee. And the only other way you can play is using like Smash Ultimate, which is the Switch version, the newest Switch Smash game. The netcode in that game sucks. Why play with sucky delay-based netcode if there's a fan-made rollback netcode implementation for a game that people really want to play? Might not be the most current game, but still a thing, right? Netplay's rad. Netplay on games that weren't supposed to have netplay is just cool. The idea of being able to play Super Nintendo games online with people. You know, and Mega Drive games online with people. The idea that in some of these cases, like My Neighbor Sushi Cat, you can connect an actual PSP to that. An actual PlayStation Portable console. To be able to play with people playing on emulator. That's just cool. Keeping those communities alive, keeping those games going, making sure that if people want to play with people, or if people want to find new people to play with, there's still communities out there, still using these tools or developing these tools. So yeah, what do you play? Would you play Monster Hunter? Do you play Monster Hunter? Do you play stuff like Windjammers or random fighting game from the retro days, Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, or SNK vs Capcom Chaos, or Sam Show? I'm just listing off fighting games now. Yeah. It's fucking cool. Just wish my network wasn't such a pain in the ass. So I'm going to go back to trying to fix that, so that I can actually play some Monster Hunter at some point tonight or before I die of old age. So, hope you're well, and I'll see you all with a bit of luck in the next one. Bloody internet.